Welcome to TalksToGeeks.com. Justin here, and today we're back with more anime reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing the anime series Megalobox, which I watched on Funimation. As always, I give you a brief synopsis of the show. So here we go. Bored and unfulfilled, a young man with neither name nor past survives by fighting in the underground matches of a sport called Megalobox, a form of boxing that utilizes powered exoskeletons. Calling himself Junk.DOG, he feels trapped in a world of crime, poverty, and ecological collapse. All that happens and changes when he has a chance encounter with Yuri, the reigning king of Megalobox. Now obsessed with proving himself, Junk.DOG becomes a man driven to do whatever it takes to fight his way to the top of the rankings and take on the champion. This was a phenomenal, like AJ Styles anime. And before I even begin my review, I'll have to say this. If you have Funimation, if you have not watched this show, put it in your queue or start watching it after you watch this review. This is a must watch anime. Absolutely adore this anime. It's definitely one of my tops in this era of the 2010 to 2000 and to the present now. First thing I have to say is what makes this anime so great is, as always, you know me, if you've been watching my reviews for 10 years, is characters and story. And the story of Junk.DOG, aka Gearless Joe, as you watch as the story progresses, Joe, is just an amazing story. This is a coming of age anime, and I would definitely, if I had to compare it to anything, and I know I probably might get a little flame for this, but I can't help the comparison, is Rocky. It really feels like an anime Rocky, and I'm not saying that the creators were inspired by it, but it has the same type of beats of Rocky, and not just because it's boxing, but because of the underdog type of tone and story that's coming from this. Here you got have a guy who is in depth, and the guy that's trained him is in depth, and they're first have to pay off these type of shisty gangsters, and the only way for Gearless Joe to do that is that he has this talent. He has this talent, and he's in these underground matches where he can easily knock these guys out in the first round, but he's throwing the fights in order to pay off his debts. And it starts to eat up at him until he meets someone that's he feels is worthy of a challenge, which is Yuri, which is the world champion. And Yuri whips his ass. Joe gets his ass handed to him, and that just basically puts Joe in a very prideful position where he is literally going, oh my gosh, I have to beat this guy. I have to prove that I'm the best. And the only way to do that is to get into the arena that Yuri is in, and that is the Megalobox, Megalomania league. And the only way to do that is for him to get into that. So he gets approached by Nabu, who is a coach, and he gets a coach, and we're off to the races. And he also meets Sachio, which is this young kid who has such a knowledge of boxing when it comes to footwork and the gears, that he also becomes an addition to the team. And this story, what makes this story so great is that not only does Joe get his time to shine, but the supporting cast as well. Everybody has an arc. Everybody has an opening. Everybody has a closing. There is really no loose threads when it comes to this. You can watch season one, and the way season one ends, what you will feel like there's no need for season two. And even the creators, if you could Google it, they was like they didn't even think about doing a season two until they had this type of story with Nomad come into their head. And I really enjoyed the characterization here with Joe just being this underdog. He has a chip on his shoulder. He's trying to prove himself, and then he gets to that point where he does prove himself, and he does kind of become not only his own boxer, but he becomes his own man. He becomes who he is. So does Sachio, so does Nabu. Everybody comes to terms at the end of their journey, which leads to season 2 Nomad, which is a complete tone shift. While season 1 was very uplifting, the underdog type of story, this one I was not expecting it to take such a dark turn. Joe is basically back to square one. He basically just he's addicted to pills. Something has happened. There's an event that happens that just makes Joe and everybody around them just kind of drift apart. Joe leaves the kids, Joe leaves the friends, Joe leaves everybody behind, and he is just wandering around aimlessly from different locations until he meets Chief, who is an immigrant, and he's with other immigrants in certain parts where they're being harassed to move because they're immigrants. And Joe decides to train Chief, who is into Megalobox, and to help him raise the funds so they can just pay off what they need to pay off. And it really is a really dark story, character-wise, not dark in tone, like not dark in like imagery or anything like that, but tone and situations. It's a dark story that happens, and it's a great examination on loss and how we deal with loss. And Joe lost a lot in season 2. In the beginning of season 2, he is completely depressed. He is seeing things in his psyche. He's seeing a certain character that passes away in his psyche, and it's just really messed with him until he decides to go back home, and he realizes that things have changed and the kids are grown now. And that's what really I love about anime, is that the kids, the characters grow up. And that's what's so great about anime compared to cartoons. The characters grow up, while cartoons seems to be like in this time zone space where they just stay the same age. Anime, we see the progression, we see the growth, we see Sachio grow up into this teenager. And it's such a heartbreaking scene when you see these kids grow up and you see how that loss that Joe and everybody felt, everybody deals with it in a certain way, and then Joe has to try to bring the pieces back to the puzzle and bring things back together. And it's such a great way to tell this story. I can't praise this enough. Let's give this actually a round of applause, because I couldn't praise this anime enough of what it was able to accomplish here. Especially if I'm gonna say which season I like better, I like season 2 better because I'm more of a character study person. I love to see characters go through the darkest moments of their lives and just see how they're going to overcome that. There's the choices and consequences type of element to it. I really love things like that. I love the fact and seeing these kids grow up and see how they dealt with the loss and what happens to them, where their hope and their dreams were just basically pulled under from them from the rug and maybe victim of circumstances. And before I go, I had to definitely talk a little bit about the animation. Animation is gorgeous. The fight scenes are great. Anyone who loves boxing will be like, oh man, they really nailed the sport of boxing very, very well. Of course, they had their little sci-fi spin to it with the exoskeletons in there, but it's still a great thing. Voice acting is amazing from both English and dub. Excuse me, English and sub, English and Japanese, English and Japanese. Dubs are really great. I mostly watch Japanese dub, but the English dub, I will definitely highly recommend the English dub for this one. It is amazingly done, brilliant acting all across the board. Production from the music was great, really gripping at times. Really felt emotional at certain scenes. Really felt get you hyped in certain boxing scenes as well. Great supporting cast as well. Every character gets a chance to breathe. Really, most of the loose ends were tied. And it really has this nice storybook ending. I'm not talking about like a happy ending or sorts like that. I'm just talking about like it is in a conclusion. And I personally, I don't want to see another season. I think it should end just the way it is. This was great, amazing. This is Justin from tacosandgeeks.com. If I'm going to give this a rating, watch this now. If you can't watch it now, add it to your queue. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and most importantly, visit us at tacosandgeeks.com. Follow us at instagram.com/tacosandgeeks, facebook.com/tacosandgeeks blog, Twitter at tacosandgeeks, twitch.tv/otakusgeeks. And that is it. Most importantly, visit tacosandgeeks.com. This is Justin saying later days. I will catch you on the next one. Definitely please watch the show. It's amazing. Peace.